You gotta speak closer to the mic.
Sorry, better? Okay. Our nation's roads and bridges are falling apart, and our manufacturers need good infrastructure in order to compete with other countries. And I realize there's a big difference between wasteful spending and investing in the country's future. My question is, will you urge the House leadership to support a highway bill that keeps funding at least at its current levels? And will you vote for that bill to help create jobs for manufacturers here in Wisconsin?
You know your stuff, don't you? I can't answer the question because we're in the middle of this right now. Here's the deal. And I'm the budget chair, so I enforce the rules. So what you're asking me is specifically this, and I'm not trying to say it's a trick thing. It's a totally legitimate question. We have a highway trust fund. And the highway trust fund, number one, we can clean that up. There's a lot of pork and waste in the highway trust fund. We've got to get rid of that. Both parties bellied up to the trough and passed, and we've got to get rid of that. But the highway trust fund is filled with gas tax revenues. Gas tax revenues are not coming in what we thought they would be. Car mileage, mileage is higher, so the revenues are down. Lots of reasons. But what has happened was the last highway bill said, we think highway gas tax revenues are coming up this high, so that's what we'll spend. But they actually came in $35 billion below that. And so what the highway trust fund did, because of the last law, was it went and raided $35 billion from the general fund bonds, borrowing to put into the highway trust fund. And my point is, look, if we're going to have a dedicated trust fund, then let's have a dedicated trust fund. I hate the fact that Social Security is in deficit now, but Congress, both parties used to raid the Social Security trust fund to pay for other government programs. So if we're going to have a dedicated trust fund, let's have a dedicated trust fund, and then let's not have a raid one way or the other. That means our budget says the amount of money that you can spend out of the highway trust fund is whatever you have in the highway trust fund. That's lower than the current, what we call baseline that we were on, because they base that based on a mythical projection that never materialized. So if you're asking me, do I support a highway bill that funds highways to the revenue in the highway trust, and the answer is yes. If you're asking me to keep it funded at levels on these 6-year-old projections that never materialize, and the answer is no. So I want to be clear on that.
Yeah.
So here's what we're trying to figure out now is, it's going to be a big cliff. It's going to be a big drop. And so I worry about that because we do have problems. Look, just drive around here.
Well, and the thing is it's it's the 6-month extensions. It's
yes,
extensions.
Exactly.
It's not a multi-year bill where manufacturers can then invest in their equipment and people can buy it and create the jobs that way.
I think for outside of the construction industry, I think manufacturers, I don't know that whether we have a 3-year or a 6-year highway bill would make a huge difference to like a tool and die manufacturer. I think it matters to cement manufacturers. It matters to people in that particular sector. So what we're looking at right now, and we're literally running numbers on this in Budget Committee, is where else can you get resources to put in the highway trust fund that are logical? Well, I think we should drill for more oil and gas in our own country. Lots of oil and gas is under federal control. In Alaska, in the Intermountain region, in the Outer Continental Shelf, we could get, I've seen the revenue estimates are all over the place as to how much we could have. And so what I'm saying is, and we're looking at this right now, is let's open up federal exploration to oil and gas. That is what we use for transportation anyway. So we tax it at gasoline at the pump. Why not take the federal revenues we get from more exploration of oil and gas and put that in the highway trust fund to supplement the amount? And so we're looking at doing that. And to me, I think that gives us a more consistent revenue stream. It opens up oil and gas in North America that is good for us because we take less from foreign oil, lowers the price, helps the economy, gets more revenues in the federal government, and I want to just put it in the highway trust fund. So to me, I think that's a better way to go, and that's literally what we're in the middle of figuring out exactly how to do. The question comes down to is projecting the revenues that are going to come as a result of oil and gas leases. So we're trying to figure out how to do that. I'm getting a little complicated here, but so the answer is, do I support a highway bill? Yes. It's going to be written the right way. No pork. No member of Congress saying, I want a bridge in my district, like a bridge to nowhere or a museum. None of that. And let's clean up the fund. And then I think it's a win-win. Drill for oil and gas in our country, put the proceeds in the highway trust fund that supplements it so we don't have a big funding cliff. And that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.